Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I've got a fun little make for you today, and it actually does two videos in one. This video will sit with those who are looking to use up their 12 by 12 paper pads and cardstock, and it will also be perfect for those looking for making journals for beginners. So I thought we'll hit both of those at one, and it's something I like to do. So we're starting with a 12 by 12. I'm not going to start naming paper pads at this point because that's not what this video is about. So just taking a 12 by 12. Now it's quite a quick little make. I will give you there's one section where you might need some specialized equipment, but I have an alternative for that. So make sure you watch this to the end. So first of all, we need a 12 by 12. First thing I want to do is cut that 12 by 12 in half. So let's pull in my trusty guillotine and bring it all the way through. And we need to get this to 6 inches. Sometimes this guillotine doesn't exactly, I've got the right place, I have. Sometimes I find if I cut things at 6 they're not exactly the same width, so let's just make sure they are. Okay, that's fine. Oh no, it's not. See what I mean? Sometimes even though I measure it at 6 and I know the card is 12. Anyway, that's just myself and my dilemmas, but this is actually a good point. You can do this same process in any size you wish to make. So let's put the trimmer down, or the guillotine should I call it, down to one side. These strips can go in the trash. So I've now got two halves. I try to make sure that I've got them the right way up. Decide which you want as the front and which you want as the back. I'm okay about either of them, so I'm not going to worry about that. So now, there's going to be an outside and there's going to be an inside. So I want to make sure that I've got them. Is that the right way up? Oh. That's the right way up, the 17. So I've got an outside and I've got an inside. So I need to remember that for the next bit. Now I'm going to pull in a scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can do this just with a bone folder or something on a soft surface with a ruler. So this is obviously 12 inches wide. So I'm going to come in now. Remember here, if you score a valley, as in push into the card, you then fold it backwards so a valley becomes a peak. So I'm going to come in at 5 3/4 inches. And I'm going to turn this round and do 5 3/4 inches. Then I'm going to fold those and press them down with my bone folder, making sure the edges of my card are actually in line with each other so I don't have any deviation. You will have to do a tiny little bit of trimming with the scissors once you've done the gluing process, and I find that is because there's a little bit of a shift which I'll explain as we go along. So this is now my outside cover. Okay, we're now going to do the inside cover. Now because valleys become peaks, I need to turn this one over so I'm looking at the opposite side to what I need. So come into 5 3/4 and do 5 3/4. Okay, again, there's your valley. Let's make the valley into a peak. That's just something I learned from Gail Augustinelli, by the way, and it makes complete sense to me, because if you're compressing the fibers down, as in you're making a valley, then they're less likely to crack. Well, if I did that correctly, it'd be all right. It doesn't feel completely straight. We may have to be doing a little bit of trimming, as I said. Okay, so I've now got the inside. So this is the inside, and this is the outside. So make sure you've got them in the correct orientation, which I hadn't then. Right, is that the right way up? It is the right way up. Right, we can get rid of our scoreboard. Pop that down. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. Now I'm using art glitter glue. You can use whichever glue you choose. I'm using art glitter glue because basically it bonds really quickly. So for a video, it means I can get this done and I don't have to edit and hang around for drying time. So I tend to hold one side up so I can slot it all in, and then make sure you move quite quickly because this glue will bond very fast. Give it a good press down. Now I don't mind that any of the edges are slightly off. As I said, I'm likely to trim this afterwards anyway. So that's now created the spine of what we're making, which is, I forgot to tell you, we're doing a collage on the Go Folio. I know it's a quirky name, but I like the quirky names. So I have a quick look at this, it's fine. I know there's a bit of an overhang here. As I said, what happens is, it may have been 12 inches each, but then when you put in the bend and you put in the thickness of this paper, you're always going to find that it's going to overlap, be slightly out. I always just trim that afterwards. Not a problem at this point. Okay, so pop that pin back in there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a circle punch, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to put a thumb notch up here, mine out for the click. And I'm going to put a thumb notch in here. Okay, so that's given me 2 thumb notches. Obviously we're making pockets on that. Now, in this instance, I have a plain background here, which I don't mind. However, you may have double-sided paper that you do mind what that looks like. So I usually take a strip of paper that's a bit wider than this. I usually use text paper because it's easier for me to do. I've always got it on the go, and it just gives a little bit of interest at the back. I'm just going to use a glue stick. I'm bringing a bit of a glue page here. Now, you'll note I didn't care about the top edge being torn straight, and you'll see why in a second. I like to do this method because then I know that it's fully glued all the way up to the top edge of the pocket. Put that in place. So I need to slide that around at all, maybe a little bit. I guess that, press that down. I don't mind that that's gluey over the top. As I said, we're going to deal with that in a second. Can you see me? Yes, you can see me. I've put my camera slightly higher than normal to see whether it stops me headbutting the camera, which I tend to do on a regular basis. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so I've got those 2 pieces in there. Let's fold this up. We can use this book page later. It goes into a box for recycling book pages. I need to do one of those videos again. I haven't done one of those for ages. So I've now got my paper down on there. I'm going to grab myself a pair of scissors, and I tend to pull that one away, turn this over, and I'll come in with the scissors this way and snip that again. I'll separate those out and I'll snip those. Now you can do this with vanilla file folders, you can do this with any cardstock. I probably wouldn't do it with paper stock because I don't think paper stock is going to be strong enough to do what we're planning to do. So okay, I'm going to let that sit for a few seconds, but I need to do one more thing with a bit of spare card at the moment. That didn't cut very well, did it? Let's see if I can give that one more snip. It's slightly bothering me. Well, that actually made it worse. Right, how do we cure that? We go in with a pair of scissors and do it. Actually, no, let's do something different. Let's get a bit of spare cardstock, just so you can see how I would cure it. So I'm going to put a bit of spare cardstock behind it, so it makes it even more rigid, and then I cut, and that will give me a nice smooth edge. It's because the cardstock or the paper stock isn't stiff enough, and so when you actually try and cut it, it tends to fold within your cutter than actually cut. But this is a way to cure that, or you could just go in with the scissors afterwards. All the loud noises are gone and done and dusted now. Right, so there you go. So I've got that much done. Bang, 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 bang. That's all nice and fine. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put another pocket on there eventually. I'm going to let this sit for a few seconds just to dry out and air while I do that. So I'm going to grab myself a bit of spare cardstock. Now you can use any spare cardstock you want. You could even use cardstock taken off the same kit. Do I like this? That'd be quite cute. I think I can do that. Right, this is a 6x6 sample. So what I need to do is I want to cut this 6x6 down. So I want to make this 5.5 because I don't want my pocket edges to meet that join there. That's a nice little strip there. So that's 5.5, and then I'm going to make my pockets 2.5 inches tall. So that's one pocket at 2.5 inches. let's make this one 2.5 inches. Another nice strip for clusters and things, or down the edge of a page or a journal card or anywhere like that. So now that I've got these, I'm going to put them face to face, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to give these a bit of a thumb notch. There you go. Okay, that should be the last of the clicking of the thumb notches. So, right, put these to one side. We'll need them in a second or two. I've lost a craft punch. There you go, there it is. So now, what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to glue down here, across here, and up here to make this a pocket. So you may ask yourself, why am I gluing along that edge? Purely security, because that's a stress point, and I want to make sure it's nice and secured. And if I did happen to miss an area along the spine, at least that will capture it anyway. So bring that over. I don't think I went all the way to the top, did I? I didn't. And just touch that down. It will bond in a few seconds. That's not a problem. Do the same on the other side. Again, I go down the spine. Now you can choose not to go down the spine. I just choose to because I have that as a working preference. Well, if I could draw a straight line with glue, it would help, wouldn't it? If you hear any bird song or anything, by the way, guys, it's because we're in the middle of a heat wave, and it means I'm working with my windows open, because if not, it's going to be very difficult to work in here. Now, because I actually glued this flat, you will sometimes find that some of the pockets will bow. I take that as an advantage, okay, because that means I can get in and out of them a lot easier, and when the folio is actually filled, I'm not worried about it anyway. So I've got this line down here. I'm just going to come in with my scissors and just do a little bit of a trim along the edge, just to take that off. Just go check the other one, see there's another. It's just a couple of millimeters, to be honest with you, but it's the movement of the paper, and I like to trim it. You could trim it before you glue it as well, so it's up to you entirely. I like to trim it after I've glued it, because then I know that I can work up against the edge that's already there. I've got a little bit here that I did say when I was scoring it that it felt wrong. There you go, that's all nicely done, all pressed down. So that gives me the basis of the folio. So just get the glue off my scissors. Now, I do like to round the corners on one of these. I don't always round them, but it's up to you. I'm using the medium-sized rounder on this one. I don't know what it is about rounded corners, I just like rounded corners. Something else I'm going to do, because these pockets are going to sit in here, is I'm going to round the outside edge, the outside corner of each of the pockets as well. From a little corner around to the one side. So I'm going to come in now, I'm just going to glue down these two pockets, and then I'm going to bring in something else and explain it to you. And I'm gluing this close to the outside edge, because as I said, I don't want to hinder the spine here. I want to make sure I'm far away from that fold. There you go. Right, let's put a pin in my glue, because I'm notorious for leaving the pin out of the glue. So, right, so I've got the basis for my folio here. Now I'm going to bring in another one I've already prepared in exactly the same manner. As you can see, different cardstock, same manner. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure I had a second one, because the next stage of this process will include hole punching and eyelets, and I know not everybody has hole punches and eyelets, that sort of tools or equipment around them, so I wanted to make sure that I offered something different as an alternative, so you know that you can make it with anything you wish. So let's just take the eyelet punch. So I'm going to use my eyelet punch here, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come in just a bit down from the top and give it a bit of a cut to give myself a hole, and I'm going to do the same at the bottom. Why is that swinging around? I'm having a moment today, guys. Why are you sticking? Oh, there you go. Let's pop that one out. I think it's because I've got wet glue in there, to be honest. I would normally have let that dry, but you're watching and I want to keep on going. I'm going to use eyelets, just grab 2 eyelets out of here. Now, I must admit, when I was in the States, I was going to buy one of those crocodile thingies, and I really had it on my shopping list, but with everything that went on, I never managed to get to Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby on my trips. So you know what? We didn't get the one in the end. So let's pop that in there. Give that a good squeeze. Yeah, because I don't like my system for doing eyelets here. I find that they never actually become very smooth on the inside. I've got to do a bit of jiggery pokery, should we say. So, and by that I'm going to just turn this round and see if I can't flatten those out better. Yeah, because I want to make sure that the backs of the eyelets are flat, because otherwise they could damage the next section. So I've got 2 eyelets in there, top and bottom, not a problem. Now, if you don't have this, let's talk about that. If you've got a small hole punch, one of these single ones, or you could even do this with a double hole punch, just use one of the holes. If you come in and you line that up so it's halfway, can you see? Take a little notch out of here. This is the alternative that I came up with, guys, because as I said, I know not everyone has the equipment. So if you can see that, I've taken a little notch out of either end. So let's move that around. Let's clean that off there. So now we have our pieces ready to go for the next stage. As I said, that was a bit wonky because I didn't let the cardboard dry, but that's fine. That's the downside of actually doing this at speed. So now, I'm going to use elastic. In my country, this is called shirling elastic. It's a round elastic. If you've got a store nearby that does traveller's notebooks, you can buy elastic like this from there. However, this one came off a box of chocolates, so I basically kept it at Christmas and I can use it for this. And anything elastical like this, or if you're going to do this version, you could actually use a large rubber band to do what we're going to do. So let's get on with this. So I'm going to push this from the outside to the inside, from the outside to the inside, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this down into the middle. Now I want to have a bit of tension in this, but I don't want it so tight that it makes the cardboard fold up. So there you go. I mean, it's got a bit of give in it. I don't want it uber tight. Right, that's that done. And I'm just going to come in, I'm going to snip the edges. Now, you could put this knot on the outside if you chose. You could have that knot on the outside and maybe make a feature about it and put a charm or something on it. So that's that piece. When it comes to this one, all I'm going to do is I'm going to settle this into those notches. Like so. So it's held in place. This one will not be as secure as the other one because obviously the elastic can fall out, but it's going to take a bit of nudging to get it to fall out. Now these folios, what I'm making these for is, I like these if I'm traveling. Why can't I tie a knot today? Go back through there, Griffiths. If I'm traveling, I don't really take a whole load of equipment with me. However, if I want to do collage on the go, it's nice to sometimes have your basic collage pieces with you, like the papers you always use, like music and text and tissue and book page and stuff like that. So if I'm on the go and I'm traveling and I want to do a bit of collage at a venue I'm at, or if I'm on holiday, then having the basics with me means I can actually then go ahead and collage and know that I haven't got to then hunt around for other supplies. So, right, This is the tied version, so as you can see it's held in place by notches top and bottom. So I'm going to put that one to one side for a second. We're going to work with this one. So this same principle, elastic down the middle. I've got a gap here. The gap is normally about 5 inches. There you go, it's 5 1/4. So I normally think of my papers for this about 5 inches. You can do this any dimension. It's just the technique. You choose what you do with it. And then what I do is I pull in a whole load of collage papers. I just pull these out of the drawer. Now I'm going to tear them down. Where are we up to? There you go. I'm going to tear my collage papers down to 5 inches. I might actually just tear that one a little less. And the rule of thumb is they need to be no more than 5 inches with this journal, with this folio. They don't have to be exactly 5 inches for any other reason. Then all I do is I just fold each page in half. Sorry, this is the boring bit. But now, also all the pages don't have to be the same length, as in they don't have to be the same length that way. I can just use scraps because what this is just a resource for me to use. I can even use little pages. I mean, there you go, there's a sack. I can just fold that out because it just gives me something on the go. These also make great ideas if you're trying to de-stash and you want to send someone some happy mail and you want to send them some collage papers. Make one of these and put it in an envelope and send it to them. It's far better than just receiving a bundle of papers and going, why have they sent me all of these? It then makes sense to have a little travel folio of them. Also, we must remember that this is not a journal that's meant to last for years and years and years. I mean, it depends on how hardy you make it. I mean, you could actually, see, I've even got some tissue paper here. You could actually come in and you could Mod Podge the outside if you wanted. You could do several things with this. Okay, guys, you've got the idea. But don't think of this as a long-term make. With travelling in and out of bags, opening and shutting and all that, you've got a few years use on it, but don't think it's a forever piece. As I said, unless you make it really, really sturdy. So, but that wasn't my aim with this. My aim was just to make something that I could use. So I've got a fair chunk of papers there. So I'm just going to fold them all nicely together, just add them in. Because the way I use this is when I'm on the go, I will just flick through this and tear pieces off the pages to use for my collage. It's a fun idea. I'm sure it's not an original idea. I'm sure it's been done before. So load these all together and get them in here. I'm trying to work quite quickly because as normal I don't want to do huge long videos if I can help it, when I can give you the same information in something a bit shorter. So now the limit of how many papers you put in here is your choice. I mean, I'm loading this with quite a lot of papers. I'm not sure that it's going to take all of these, but it depends on how strong my elastic is, to be honest with you, and how fat I mind it becoming. See, just little strips, things that are going to be useful when you're on the go. Now you could, if say you're traveling and you've got enough room in your luggage, you could do one with book pages and you could do one with plain papers. You could choose which one had which. You could maybe do a coffee-dyed version. You could do an uncoffee-dyed version. They're just handy little things. Also, these are great if you want to give something to the kids to play with. You can just use one of these. So, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to find the center. Oh, that's a good guess. Lift this up. And it's very much like the Traveler's Notebook system or the Midori system. You just thread this through, get it to the center, and there you go. Now, luckily enough, mine came absolutely to the edge. That wasn't planned. I'm going to show you what to do if you want to shorten the pages. I tend to get a tear ruler. You can use a regular ruler. You can even use a metal ruler. So I'm just going to use a regular one just to show you. If I put this down, I can just come in and tear off the edges of the pages, because when I'm collaging, I don't care whether they've got straight edges anyway. Just pull that down. See, I just remove any of the excess stuff from the edge. Now, the reason there are pockets on here is because sometimes when you're coming to the end of a page, you might well just slip something in there. Or say you're let's say you're going to an amusement park and you've been collecting the ride tickets. You can pop them in there, or you can put bigger pieces in here if you wanted to fold a couple of coffee dyed paper sheets in there. So there you go, that's how I would make one of those. Now you can take it to the next level. I mean, obviously this system is exactly the same as this system. You just lift this up and thread the papers through. Okay, sorry, lift that up and pass the papers through. So I think I was off screen on that one. So let's put this one to one side. Now, it's a handy little thing you can throw in. As I said, in a couple of years' time, it might fall to bits, but I just come in, and if I'm collaging on the go, I could just come in and tear pieces off it, and off I go. So now we all like something pretty in our craft room. So if I've got this on the go, let's just grab a bit of a bulldog clip so it's not springing open on me. Over time it flattens out. You could just put another elastic band around it, guys. Another thing I would think of doing too is maybe you've got some seam binding or sari silk, and you could actually wrap it a few times around as a closure, but then that actually gives you the same stuff that you could do for the top of tags. So you could then have the resource of having the seam binding there as well, and you can just snip that off at the top of tags should you need it. So let's have a little bit of a play, shall we? Let's grab some text and stuff and see whether we can't do something interesting on the front of this. So I've got my scrap drawer just to the other side of me. Let's just do that. Let's pull this book in, get a bit of a glue stick. So my thinking is that you're just doing something. Let's take an end off there. Something that's useful. You can use this same system for making little notebooks or little writing pads. I mean, when you actually start thinking about what are you creating and how can it be utilized, believe me, you can do a lot with one of these. Let's take the top off that, bottom off that, right like that. It doesn't take much to pretty one of these up, I can tell you. As I said, if you're someone who does Happy Mail and you want to send someone some papers for collaging, say someone you know is just starting out, then the thing is, if you put them all in this and you send this, it's far nicer than just receiving an entire bundle of scrap paper and the person at the other end is going, why have I just been sent all of this? So I would go, oh, thank you. But some people maybe as a beginner wouldn't know. So this is just a bit of Tim Holtz tissue paper just to finish this bit off. And then we'll see whether I can find anything really pretty to go on top of it. See, it doesn't take much just to change the front of that. So let's pull in an ephemera book. Those will get stamped on, I think. Let's just see if I've got some flowers or something that can go on here. So I've got my ephemera book over here, guys. It's just there's not enough room on the screen for me at the moment. That's quite nice. I've recently come back from Chicago and I was in a shop in Chicago and I saw this packet of these faux stamps and I really liked them, so I treated myself to them, and why not? Actually, that might be the one I want to use there. Oh, now I've changed my mind. I think I'll use that one instead. So yes, I couldn't tell you. All of the writing on the back of the packaging was in Chinese or Japanese or some E's anyway, so I can't tell you where they're from. These stickers, I think they are. Yes, you can tell I've never used them. Come on. You can do it. There you go. Let's peel that off. Let's situate that on there. And I think I just want something by there. Don't know what it is yet. Let's just have a little think. Quite like a word or something, I think. No, I've got words somewhere. I've got an entire box of words here. This is where I just throw words when I snip them. That's quite handy. Dreams. Dreams is fine. Dream it, wish it, do it. There you go. Let's do dream it, wish it, do it. I believe that was a rubber stamp and I stamped it onto linen. I am going to come in with a bit of, sorry about that, with a bit of vintage photo and just age that a little bit, because if you look at this, it looks a little aged. And I might actually go around the edges anyway. Now I'm just going to use glue stick on this. It's not going to be something that's going to be battered around a lot. And what's the worst case scenario? It falls off, I'd glue it back on again. I'm not going to stress about that sort of stuff. I need to lift that up, see if I can get it straight. I'm the worst at getting things straight. I think it's because I always look through a camera. I can't look through the lens because obviously it's there, it's out of my sight. That's quite cute. Do I think I need anything else? Oh, I was going to do the distressing all the way around. I'm distressing this view, Gail, the Gustinelli, because I know how you like to distress things. So I'm just going to come in and just bring that to life. So, as I said, really quick make, nice way to use up 12 by 12s, a really nice way to present collage papers if you're giving them as a gift or you're sending them out as happy mail. It's a really nice little portfolio that you can throw in your luggage and no one's going to object to this, and this gives you quite a resource of papers that you can use on the go. You also have pockets for stuff that you can slide in. You could put maybe, thinking about it as far as crafting on the go goes, you could possibly even get a piece of card and wrap some washi tape around it and slide that in there and slide it in the back here, and that will give you a resource of washi tape as well. As I said, if you were to tie this with some seam binding or sari silk, then that would also give you the resource of being able to take that off and use it for your tags. So this is one version. As you can see, you've seen me make that. This is the other version that's going to do exactly the same thing. I just thought it'd be really boring to put two lots in at the same time. And this is the prototype that I made earlier on, just to make sure that I had the running sequence for the video. But all of these just really, really cute, guys. So have fun with that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And until next time, this is me saying goodbye. I'm Ceri the Crafter, C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.